this is where we stopped yesterday. We did some problem, but the main thing, like I mentioned, make sure to remember in order to be parallel line, the two slopes have to be exactly the same. In order to be perpendicular line, the two slopes have to be opposite and reciprocal to each other. Meaning if one slope is 1/3, the other slope have to be negative 3/1. You have to flip them around, right? Or to make it easy, if one slope is 4/7, the other slope have to be negative 7/4. You have to flip the slope around in order for them to be perpendicular to each other. Okay, so this is where we did yesterday. I mentioned this perpendicular. This is what we did yesterday in terms of the problem number 1. So we will continue. Let's do problem number 1. So see if you can copy this item down on your notebook, and then we will go over this 3 items. So they ask you to verify for A if you have 3x minus 4y equal to 12, is that perpendicular to ax plus 6y equal to 12. And the other item you have is 2x plus y equal to negative 11. 3x minus y equal to 9. And 6x minus 3y equal to negative 21. Negative 14x plus 7y equal to 35. So this is what we need to do. Like I mentioned, we need to find the slope. We need to identify the slope. We need to identify the slope and the y-intercept. And once you identify the slope and y-intercept, now you need to ask yourself, does the two slope, are they the same? If they are the same, they are parallel. Are they opposite and reciprocal? If they opposite and reciprocal, they will be perpendicular, and vice versa. If they are not parallel and they are not opposite reciprocal, then they are neither. So let's take a look at this item here in the sense of the first problem. So I have the first problem here in terms of, this is my first problem I mentioned to you guys, 3x minus 4y equal to 12 and 8x plus 6y equal to 12. So if you were to do this item, reminder, our goal is we need to get in this form. The slope-intercept form tell us that y equal to mx plus b. That is your slope-intercept form, because if it's in this form, reminder that if it's in this form, whatever number in front of your x is your slope, and whatever the b, whatever your constant is, that is your y-intercept. And that's why we call it a slope-intercept form, because in this form, we know exactly what my slope is, and we know exactly what is my y-intercept. So let's take a look at the first problem, 3x. We have 3x minus 4y equal to 12. Now, if you remember from yesterday, I told you because of our slope-intercept form, which is y equal to mx plus c, because of our intercept form, our goal is we want to get y by itself. And just as always, if we want to get y by itself, how do we get y by itself if we have this item here? So to get y by itself, we know that we need to get x, or in this case, we need to get 3x to the other side. And if we want to get the whole item to the other side, remember, all we need to do is we need to move them by add them or subtract them, which is in this case, I need to subtract 3x, because 3x take away 3x, they disappear. my item, I have negative 4y equal to, let me put it this way, 12 minus 3x. Why did I put it this way? Because 12 minus 3x, they are unlike term. And if they are unlike term, I cannot subtract them. The 12 does not have an x, the 3 have an x. So 12 minus 3x is just 12 minus 3x. And now, what do I need to do to get rid of this 4? To get rid of this 4, or to get rid of this negative 4, I need to divide. Because I only want to get rid of one item. Because of the 4 and the y, I don't want to get rid of the y. I only want to get rid of the negative 4. And to get rid of a portion, I need to divide. In this case, I need to divide. If I divide, reminder, you have to divide by how many ever term you have. You need to divide all of them. In this case, I need to divide by the 12 and divide it into the 3x. So my y is by itself. Everybody see that my y is by itself. I have it checked. That's my goal. I need y by itself. What is negative 4 go into 12? Well, negative 4 go into 12, that will give me a negative 3. And what is a negative 4 go into a negative 3? Well, a negative go into a negative will give me a positive. Go into 4 will basically just give me 3/3. I mean 3/4, right? 3 cannot divide into 4. 4 cannot go into 3 evenly. Just leave it at 3/4. So we got this, ladies and gentlemen. Our goal have met. My y is by itself. And this we call a slope-intercept form. And everybody see that if a slope-intercept form, the only thing different between this item and the slope-intercept form I have up here is my x is in the back and my constant is in the front. So if you want to, if you want to keep it consistent, you can just move your x item in the front and you move your constant to the back. Because if it's in this form, everybody see that anything in front of the x, anything in front of x, that is my slope, and any constant, this is my y-intercept. Okay, so this is what the first item, we see that our line 1, the first item, my slope is equal to m, which is equal to 3/4. My y-intercept, if you want to, you can say 0, -3, which is on your homework. Sometimes they ask you that. So we have the slope for line 1. And now, in order for us to know if this line 1 and line 2, if we, line 1 and line 2, if they are parallel or perpendicular, we need to take this item and identify our slope. So ax 6y 12. So we still need to do ax plus 6y equal to 12. Like I say, in order for them to be parallel, the slope must be the same. If they are not the same, the other choice we have is they need to be opposite reciprocal, okay? So same idea. In order for us to know if they are parallel or opposite and reciprocal, we need to get y by itself. Everybody agree on that? Because like I say, if we got y by itself, we know two things. We know the slope and we know the y. For this particular problem, y is not by itself. And since it's not by itself, we need to get y by itself. And just like before, to get y by itself, I need to subtract the ax. You will see that this thing here is very consistently the same, right? If I subtract my ax, this thing y equal to minus ax. Why? Because the 12 does not have an x. I cannot subtract them or I cannot add them because they are unlike term. Once I have this item here, just like before, I need to divide by 6. I need to get rid of the 6. And just like before, I need to divide by 6 to one item or I need to divide by 6 to every single item I have. So given this item here, I have this. This thing cancel. My y is by itself. What is 6 going to 12? Well, 6 going to 12 will give me 2 times. 6 going to 8. Well, 6 going to 8, I cannot do anything. Well, I could, because 6 going to 8 is not a whole number. But do you agree? 6 and 8, I can reduce this by 2. And if I reduce this by 2, do you agree that if I reduce this by 2, I divide by 2 on top, 2 on bottom, this is what I have. My y is equal to 2 minus third x. And to make it the same as my previous problem, to make this the same as my y equal mx plus b, do you agree that I can take this item and just move it to the front, meaning I have y equal to 4/3 x plus 2. Why do I do this, you ask? Because if I put it in this form, I know that this is my slope. You don't have to put it in this form. If you recognize that the slope, be my guest. The only reason why I put it in this form is, it's in the mx plus b. So this is my slope, and this is my y-intercept. Okay. So let's take a look at this item here. My second line, my L1 is this, my line 1 is this. My line 2 is equal to -4/3. So clearly, hopefully you guys see that the slope are not the same, right? This one is 3/4 and this thing is 4/3. Clearly they are not the same. So if they are not the same, we know that they are not parallel. Now the other option, like I mentioned, is if they are not the same, they have to be opposite reciprocal. Are they opposite reciprocal to each other? Meaning, is one of them, first of all, they are opposite. We know that this is positive and this is negative, so they are opposite. Are they reciprocal? Meaning, you flip them around? As you can see, they are opposite and reciprocal, right? One of them is 3/4. -4/3. You can see are opposite reciprocal. So we know that this thing here, the two line for A, or answer for A is they are perpendicular. They are perpendicular, right? They are perpendicular line, meaning the two line, they crosses somewhere. They cross it with the 90-degree angle somewhere, okay? The other thing I want to point out that the definition for perpendicular is this. If you take the two slope, tell you is if you take the two slope and you multiply the two slope together and the result is equal to -1, then we know that they are perpendicular. If you multiply this item out, do you see that what is 3 times -4? Well, 3 times -4 is -12. And what is 4 times 3? Well, 4 times 3 is -12, which is -12 over 12 will give you -1. And that is other formal definition of perpendicular is if you take the two slope, you multiply them, the product of the two slope is equal to -1. Okay. If you don't want to remember that, that's fine. Just know that either they are the same, parallel. If they are opposite and reciprocal, meaning opposite side and flipping to, then they are opposite reciprocal. They are not perpendicular, none are they parallel. So first of all, question with this particular problem here. Question with this item that I have are in the sense of how to determine if they are parallel or perpendicular. So I know that what we did yesterday. Let's take a look at the B problem. So B problem, they give us the line 1 is equal to 2x plus y, and your line 2 is 3x minus y equal to 9. So does all this two line, is this two line parallel, perpendicular, or neither? So in order for us to know, we need to know the slope, okay? And again, hopefully some of you probably already saw this, but we can do line 1. We can get x, or what we need to do is we need to get y by itself. Why we need y by itself? Because if we get y by itself, we have y equal to mx plus b. And the m is the slope, the b is the intercept. And looking at this thing here, how can I get this 2x to that side? Consistently the same, right? Consistently, we need to get this item. And to get this item here, do you agree that I need to subtract 2x? And if I subtract 2x, my problem come to be y is equal to negative 11 minus 2x. Y by itself, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you say yes, your y by itself, you have accomplished your mission. And if you don't want to maneuver them around, just know that this is your slope. The item in front of the x is your slope, and the item, the constant, is your y-intercept, okay? So my slope for line 1, everybody see that the slope for line 1 is equal to negative 2. In second line, in order for the second line to be parallel, they need to be negative 2, okay? And hopefully you guys see that, you already see that line 2, they are not the same. And how do we see that? Which is, do you agree that I need to move my 3x to that side? And to move my 3x to that side, I need to minus 3x. I have negative y equal to 9 minus 3x. And reminder, if there's a negative, it's just assume that there's a negative 1 in front of the y. How do I get rid of the negative? I need to divide by negative to every single term. And I have the result. Negative going to positive will give me negative 9. Negative going positive will give me positive 3x. So we see that right here, this is your slope. Your slope is 3x. So everybody see that line 2. The slope for line 2 is equal to 3x, or 3. So is negative 2 the same as 3? Hopefully you say that they are, is not. So the two slopes are not the same. So they cannot be parallel. Now they are not opposite. They are opposite, but they are not the reciprocal of each other, right? The reciprocal here is, if it's negative 2, the reciprocal have to be 1 over 2. If it's 3, the reciprocal have to be 1 over 3, right? That's the reciprocal. That's opposite and reciprocal. But in this case, we don't have a reciprocal. So reciprocal thing here, ladies and gentlemen, is neither parallel, non-perpendicular. Okay, so again, this item here for B, the two line 1 and line 2, they are not parallel and they are not perpendicular. Your homework, you will say are neither. They are neither one, none the other. Okay. So question here with the idea of how to identify or how to recognize if they are parallel or perpendicular, and if they are not neither one, then they are neither. Any question between problem A, perpendicular line, versus problem B, neither? All right. if you don't have question, let's take a look at C. So C, line 1, they give you 6x minus 3y equal to negative, and your line 2, they give you 14x plus 7y equal to 35. Okay, so we know same idea, same goal. We want to get y equal to mx plus b. So let's take a look at line 1. So how would I go about to get y by itself? And you figure, hopefully you guys see that they are very consistently the same, right? Very consistently identical item. So how do I get y? I need to subtract 6x to the other side, because 6x, take away 6x, they disappear. And if they are disappear, I still have negative 3y equal to 21 minus 6x. How do I get rid of this negative 3? To get rid of this negative 3, I need to divide by a negative 3 to every single term. And if I divide by negative to every single term, I got my y to a negative will give positive 7. A negative 1 to negative will give me a positive 2. And again, if you don't want to move, if you don't want to move the, if you don't want to move the 2 back here, it's fine. Just recognize that the 2 is your slope and this is your y-intercept, all right? If you want to make it consistent, everybody see that 7 plus 2x is the same as 2x plus 7, right? And if you make it consistent, you can see that this is my m, which is the first line, the slope is equal to 2. Regardless of how you see that the number in front of x is 2. So question on how I get this item here, 6x minus 3y equal to 21 to become this item y equal to 2x plus 7. If you don't have a question, let's take a look at the second equation. My second equation, I have negative 14x plus 7y equal to 35. Consistently the same. How do I get y by itself? To get y, I need to remove my x, and to remove my x, I need to add 14x here. Why do I add and not subtract? Because there's a negative here. We need to do the opposite operation. Therefore, I have 7y equal to what is 35 plus 14x. Well, 35, 14x is just 35 plus 14x because they are unlike term. And similarly, consistently, we need to divide by 7. Divide by 7 here, 7 here. My goal have met. Hopefully you guys see. My y is by itself. Small check there. 7 go to 35 will give me 5 times. 7 go to 14 will give me 2. And again, if you want to be nice, you can move the 2x in front, regardless of how you do it. Everybody see that the number in front of x is your slope, and this is your y-intercept. So what is for line 2? As you can see, for line 2 is the same as the slope for line 1, or in the same token, the slope for line 2 is 2. So this number in front of x is 2, this number in front of x is 2, so my slope is the same, and since the slope is the same, everybody see that if the slope is the same, we say that these two lines, they are parallel. So this two line right here, this line 1 and line 2 for part C, they are parallel. They are parallel line. Meaning the two lines are moving the same direction, the same rate of change, which is your slope, and they will never cross each other. Basically, you have two lines going side by side and never cross each other. So that is the objective, or that is the idea of this item here, ladies and gentlemen. Question on how did I took this two item right here, the 6x minus 3 equal to negative 21, and the negative 14x plus 7y equal to 35. How can I took this two equation and get it to this two equation here? Any question with this item? Any question with parallel line, perpendicular line, or neither? And again, hopefully with this, you have a better understanding of slope-intercept form, right? So again, go back to this slide. A, we have a perpendicular line. B, we have neither. And C is a parallel line, okay? So question with this example 3. Which problem you asking, Will? Negative y, the second problem? Which one are we asking here? So this is the 3 problem. I have negative 4 here, 6 here. I don't have anything here, so I did not divide. I divide by negative 1 on this one. This one I divided by 7. So part C. I divided by 7 here. On the bottom, I divide by, because we don't move the y, we only need to divide, we only need to get rid of the 7. The 6x, why in the problem did we minus 6 on each side but not 7? Because your goal is you need to get y by itself. And in order to get y by itself, you have to remove your x. So whatever the y is, I box the y because I don't want to move the y. I want to move the 6x and the negative 3 away from the y. Okay, so that's why I get rid of the negative 6, or I get rid of this 6 by subtract. And again, on this item, I box the y because I don't want to move the y. I want to move the negative 14 and the 7. So again, your y, I guess I used a different color. The reason I box is to tell you that you don't that variable. So again, I guess you saw the same color red, and then we're not moving the y, but just that. All right, any other question here? All right, let's take a look at this item here, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't have question with parallel, perpendicular, let's take a look at the easy item. 3.5. So 3.5, like I mentioned in the beginning of class, someone asked about formula. This is the last formula we have, ladies and gentlemen. this is the three formula that you will be using in 3.5. But for now, we will not using this three item yet. We will graph them first, and then we will use it later. So this is probably the only thing that we haven't mentioned or you guys haven't seen it yet. And you probably will not see it until the end of class today, okay? So one thing is, reminder, this is your slope-intercept form, y equal to mx plus b. And y is unique in terms of the y equal mx plus b. Like I mentioned, if it's in this form, we know our slope, which is our m, and we know our y-intercept, which is our b, okay? The standard form for now, don't worry about this item yet, and don't worry about this item yet. This item, we just know that if it's in this form, as you can see, C is in standard form, D is in standard form. That's it, all right? That's your standard form. But let's take a look at the slope-intercept form, and let's take a look at example 1. If you look at example 1, they ask you to graph the line. They ask you to graph this line here. And if you were to ask to graph this line, ladies and gentlemen, you guys can see that last time in chapter 3, well, we are in chapter 3, sorry. Last time in 3.1 or 3.2, if they ask you to graph, they either ask you to, you know, find the intercept, the zero diagonal, and just draw the line, or fill in the chart and you know, fill in the table, find the missing value, and plug in your order pair after you find it, right? But now, what if they don't tell you to do anything and they ask you to graph this line here, y equal to 4 over 7x minus 2? So how would we go about to graph this line without, construct the table or find the intercept, or basically looking at this equation, can we graph it, okay? So one thing I want to point out to you guys, ladies and gentlemen, is if we have slope-intercept form, which for part A, we do have slope-intercept form. If we have a slope-intercept form, life is good. Why life is good? Because I want to tell you this, whenever you have a slope-intercept form, remember that this is your B, and your B is your y-intercept. And this is what I tell my student is, if you have it in this form, y equal to 4 over 7x minus 2, whatever this B is, whatever this number is, this is your starting point on the y-axis. That's all you need to do, or all you need to know is whatever this constant, whatever this number is, -2, that is your starting point on the y-axis. So in this form, when you recognize that we are in the slope-intercept form, you ask yourself, well, if it's a slope-intercept form, what is my B? My B is -2. You go into your graph and you put in, -2. Give me 1 second here. So you go into your graph and you put in -2. That is your starting point on your y-axis, okay? And let's write our item. This is my item. If you remember, or if you don't remember, this is what we have. We have y equal to 4 over 7x minus 2. So the -2 or the -2, that is my starting point on my y-intercept. This will always be a starting point on the y-intercept. Now, what do we do with this starting point on your y-intercept? Well, what does the slope tell me to do? Do you agree that the number in front of my x is my slope? And remember, the slope is the rise over the run. What does it mean rise over run? Meaning 4 over 7. 4 tell me to rise up 4 start. And the run tell me to run to the right 7 slot, right? Or 7 spot. So basically I start from -2, I go up 1, 2, 3, 4. I do not stop there. I have to run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is where my second point will be. So that is what the slope tell you to do. The slope tell you to go up 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If we were to have a graph, that would be our item there. So let me erase this here. If you remember the other time that we have, the slope tell you the rise over the run, and the rise over the run is that. Let me try this item here. Got it, ladies and gentlemen. They got a ruler for me. It's hard to draw. Try to connect the dot, but anyway, this is what we have. No more ruler. Basically, once you have the 3 dot, all you need to do is connect the dot, right? So what do we have in terms of this item here? So all you need to do is that is it. If you have, no matter what equation they give you, if they are in the slope-intercept form, then life is good, which is they tell you 2 things. They tell you your starting point, which is your y-intercept. The starting point will always be on the y-axis. And they tell you from the starting point, do we go up to the right or down to the right, okay? And that is where your slope come in. So
I have a question.
Yes.
I see where you got your -2. I see how you got your 4 over 7. What about that red one way up top? Where's
It basically tell you that if you keep doing it, if you keep go up 4 over 7, you will get the same point. So the slope is unlimited, meaning your line, if you keep on go 1, 2, 3, 4, I miscount. So if you keep on go up 4 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you will get to this point here. Okay. So the slope tell you go up 4 over 7, up 4 over 7.
So you have to do it twice.
Well, I just want to show you, for me, I just want to see how slanted my line is. When you do your homework, when you have the 2 point, they connect the line for you. So you don't need 3 point. For me, because sometimes your line can be this straight or this slanted, right? So I just want to know how slanted my line is. That's why I go 3 point to know that this line is this way and it's not like, it's not, oh, I erase it. It's not like, I go 3 points so I know that the line going this way and not this way. You know what I mean? So that's why I go 3 point to show you that if you keep on going with your slope, you will get the same point, or you will get the same line, I should say. Okay. Let's take a look at the next one. Let's take a look at this item, and then hopefully the second time you see it is a little bit better. So the second item of B, this is what they ask you to do, is graph this line. Graph y equal to -5 over 3x plus 9. So is my y by itself? That's the first thing you need to ask yourself. Is your y by itself? In this case, check. Your y is by itself. okay? So life is good. Why life is good? Because now I know that whatever this constant is, whatever this constant, that is my starting point on the y-axis, right? That is my starting point, my y-axis, which is positive 9. So everybody see that positive 9, my starting point is right here. Wherever my 9 is, that is my point. That's my first point, my starting point. Agree? And now, what does this number, -3, not -3, -5/3 in front of x does? Well, -5/3, that is your slope. And the slope tell you rise over run, right? The slope tell you rise over run, meaning make sure to tell you that you either go up or down first and then left or right. So in this case, because of the negative, we want to go down 5 units. So everybody see that because of a negative, and I will mention to you a little bit, I have to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I do not stay there because now once I go down 5 units, they tell me to run 3 units. And if I run 3 units, I go 1, 2, 3, which is, this is my second point. And again, you don't need a third point, but if you were to do it, you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. Everybody see that if I keep on go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, I will get my line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. Again, the only reason I do this is to show you that if you keep go down 5/3, 5/3, 5/3, you will get the same line, and you will see how slanted or how steep your graph is, right? So once you have this item, all you need to do is you need to connect, and I did not connect good. All you need to do is connect the dot, right? So if you connect the dot, and just imagine it's a straight line. A good thing for you guys, my MATLAB have they draw the line for you guys, so don't judge my line.
So
But
the negative will only apply to the top number and not the bottom always?
Yes. Why is only the top number and not the bottom? Anybody? The reason is what happened if you apply -5 and -3. Well, negative over a negative is going to be a positive, right? So one thing is if the slope, so this is one thing is if you look at the book, the book tell you this. The book tell you a few things. And I want to show you, I want to say that this is the difference between the two items. Give me one second. So the book tell you that if we were to have this, if we were to have a negative on the 5 and the 3, it tell you -5 go down to the right. But if you were to have a +5 and a -3, well, +5, let's take a look at this number here. If you have +5, everybody see that we have to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Negative tell me to go to the left 1, 2, 3. It's the same idea, right? Go up 5 over to the left 3. We get that to that same point. And if we were to have that, they tell you go up and to the left. So for me, and if you get to a negative right in the center, what do you do? Well, the negative right in the center just tell you that either the top is negative or the bottom is negative, not both of them, because if both of them are negative, you will have a positive number or the positive slope. And if you remember yesterday, remember how do we determine if the slope negative or how do we determine if the slope is positive, right? Remember left to right. If you go from left to right, it's got to be increased, right? in order to be positive from left to right, this is what we have is if you go from left to right and the graph going like that, then it's a increase, it's a positive slope. If you go from left to right and it's going this way, it's decreasing, then it's a negative slope. So I tell my student this, if you were to have, and if they ask you to graph, if you see that you have a positive slope, just going up to the right. Positive slope tell you to go up to the right. If you have a negative slope, it tell you to go down to the right. Stick to the right. Why? Because if you stick to the right, you will never be wrong, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so just stick to the right. If you have a positive slope, go up to the right. If you have a negative slope, go down to the right. So that's what this tell you to do. Either go up to the right or down to the right. So question here, first of all, question of how can we graph this item? How can we graph this item here? Y equal to a negative 5. Y equal to a negative 5 over x. 5 over 3x plus 9. Any question with this problem? Any question of where to start and how I got to that line? All right. If you don't have question, let's take a look at one more problem here. Let me erase all this. I think I need more room. So let's take a look at this problem. Let's say C. C, this is what we have. We have 3x minus 5y equal to 20. And then I ask you to graph this item. So if you look at this thing here, we cannot graph it, right? I mean, you can do this. You can do x and y, and then, make the 0 diagonally, and then pick the point if you want to. But we don't want to do all of this. We don't want to create a chart and then find a missing value, plug it in, right? We want to look at the graph, look at the equation, and then just plug it into the graph. So how do we do that? Well, the first thing, or hopefully you guys recognize that this is not in the slope-intercept form, right? We need to get in slope-intercept form. This is your standard form, the x and y on one side and the constant on the other side. That's your standard form. So if you remember consistently, what do? Well, we know that we need to solve for y. We need to get y by itself. I don't want to move the y. So in order for me to not move the y, I need to get rid of the x. And to get rid of the x, do you agree that 3x, take away 3x, they cancel out? And if I subtract on one side, I need to subtract on the other side, which is my new problem, is negative 5y equal to 20 minus 3x, which is the same as your parallel, perpendicular, and neutral. Once you have this, how do I get rid of my negative 5? Well, to get rid of my negative 5, I need to divide by a negative 5. Negative and negative, they cancel out, or negative 5 and negative 5, they cancel out. My answer, or my problem, my new problem will be y is equal to a negative going to positive will give me negative 4. And a negative, that will give me a positive 3/5 x. And if you want to be nice, or if you want to put it in the form that you see, you can say 3/5 x minus 4. Wherever the 4 go, I have to go with it, which that is why I have a negative 4. So now, 3/5 x minus 4, do you agree that this is what I can do? I can erase. They don't let me do it anymore. Let me. Three fifth x minus 4. I think I erased the whole thing. Let me just do this. So we know we have y equal to 3 fifth x minus 4. Let me just draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Right. So we know that where is my starting point? Do you agree that -5? That's what I have, or -4. -4, sorry, not -5. -4, not confused. And you is 3 fifths minus 4. So we know that -4 is my starting point on the y-axis. Is always a starting point on the y-axis, which is your vertical line. So where's my -4? Do you agree that -4 is somewhere right here? This is my -4 on the y-axis. I do that, right? And now, what does the slope tell me to do? Well, the slope is positive. Slope is positive. So if it's positive, it's telling me to go up 3 over 5. So if I go up 3, I go 1, 2, 3 over 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is my second point. And again, you only need 2 points to connect your graph. You only need 2 points to draw your line here. You don't have to find another point, like I say, because of your answer. Once you have the 2 points, they will draw the line for you. But the idea is, no matter what we have, if you look at this thing here, this is your original problem. Your original problem is this item. In order for you to graph this item, there are 2 things that you can do. Is you can either find the intersection, you can either construct the chart. That's what we did in 3.2 and 3.3. Or now you need to somehow take this item and convert to y equal to mx plus b. If you can convert it, you will have 2 things. Your starting point on the y-axis, and your slope, which is your rise over your run. Okay. So question with this particular item that I have here, or question with this problem. And again, I delete the work, but again, I move the 3 over by subtraction, and then I divide by a -5, right? And again, this is my graph. My starting point at -4, I go up 3 over 5, and then I just connect the dot, and hopefully that is hit. If I miss, I just make my dot bigger, okay? So question. Question here, ladies and gentlemen. Since we added, let's do one more, and then I let you guys go. So the problem I have, not on the, we have another type of problem, but this is the last problem. They ask you to graph it. How would we go about to graph this? Well, to graph this thing here, we need the starting point and we need the slope. But looking at this thing here, we don't know what the starting point is, and we don't know what is my slope, right? So how would I go about to do this item here? Well, the first thing I need to do, I need to get y by itself. And to get y by itself, by this time, hopefully you guys see that it's consistently the same. To get y by itself, I need to remove my x. And to remove my x, I need to subtract, or in this case, I need to add. And if I add them, my new problem will give me 3y equal to 48 plus ax. And consistently, hopefully you guys see that we just divide this by 3 throughout our problem. 3 over 3 is equal to 1. Therefore, that is my y. 3 going to 48, that will give me 12, right? 3 going 48 will give me, not 12, don't agree with me when I'm wrong, 16, right? 3 going 48 is 16. And 3 going to 8 is just 3 going to 8 is 3 over 8. And again, if you want to, you can put it in this form, which is 8 over 3x plus 16. All I did was I moved the 16 to the back. Why? Because hopefully you guys see that this is the constant. And the constant is your starting point on the y-axis. Question so far. And we know that if that is my starting point is going to be a little bit, my graph, I don't need the negative. So 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. I need that much. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't need a negative number. If you look at this thing here, do you agree that the starting point is 16? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So this is my 16. That is my starting point on the y-axis. And the slope, what does the slope tell me? The slope tell me to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The slope tell me from 16, go up 8 because this is positive, and go to the right 3 slot, right? 1, 2, 3, we stop here. And again, why do I go to the right? Because it's positive. So now this is my graph. Like I say, if you were to draw by hand and you miss, you just make your dot bigger. But look at this item here. This is our goal. This is our objective, ladies and gentlemen. How can we take this problem? How can we take this item right here and look at that item and just graph this graph, right? So how would we about to do that? Which is we need to get y by itself. Because if y by itself, we know two things. We know the starting point and we know the slope. And the slope tell me to either go up or down and to the right. If it's positive, go up to the right. If it's negative, go down to the right. Don't go to left. Don't worry about the left. Just tell yourself, if it's positive, go up to the right. If it's negative, go down to the right. Okay. So question with this item here, question with any particular problem that we went over, or question on anything.